one that feareth the I am, that walketh in his ways. For thou shalt eat the labor of thine hands. Happy shalt thou be, and it shall be well with thee. Thy wife shall be as a fruitful vine by the sides of thine house. Thy children like olive plants round about thy table. Behold, that thus shall the man be blessed that feareth the I am. The I am shall bless thee out of Zion, and thou shalt see the good of Jerusalem, O Yasharal, and all the days of thy life. Yea, thou shalt see thy children's children, and peace upon Israel. All praises to the Most High. Psalms chapter 128. Deliver me from the hands of evil spirits who have the sway over men's hearts, and let them not lead me astray from thee, my God. Establish thou me and my seed, that we go not astray henceforth and forever. Jubilees chapter 12 and verse 20. Yes, good morning, good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon, good evening. Yes, we thank God and we praise the Most High for you, and you. We give God the glory and the praise, for he is worthy to be praised. Yes, whatever we have to praise him, a cymbal, a bass, a guitar, a trumpet, whatever, bongos, congos, or whatever you might have, a tambourine, whatever, just start praising God. Matter of fact, if you can praise God alone, because this is how you're going to meet God, alone. You're not going to be with your neighbor whom you want to please, but you're going to have that leader, you're going to have that person before you whom you're going to love. And this is how we got to see this thing. We always want to be in the collective. This is a trick of the enemy. But the thing is, when you can do it alone, look at the prophets of old, how they praise and they work. Look at Abraham, look at Joseph, look at how alone they acknowledge the Most High. When you can do this alone, you will never be lonely. And you can do it in the midst of many, but yet you're still by yourself. You're one spirit. You're one consciousness. You're one. Yes, you are. And the many makes up the multitude. Yes, we thank God for you and you and you, and we praise God for all things. You walking with Mr. Clay, I'm Mr. Clay, and we give God the glory and the praise. My heart goes out. It was heavy even unto tears this morning, where I'm at, about Burkina Faso. Not only that, it goes out also to Mali and Niger. These nations who are trying their best to bring their people up to a level of dignity, to shun those who would cause them to be less than nothing. But yet they come on a roundabout thing, and particularly as this morning news hit me was Burkina Faso. And I said, well, this leader he cares for nothing but apparently he cares for nothing but the people. But you have different people. You have those high military ranking officers, how they use a black face to down him, and how they deceive the people in other countries to go against them. And these people have built hospitals. They have, you can put this thing all in perspective. Hospitals, should I say, streets are being cleaned up. The people are given jobs, agricultural jobs, industrial jobs. They're just not working on a farm for some fat, overgrown blob, but they are working for those who would work with them. Even their leader is working with them. Not that he or she that owns the business would sit out there and go all day because they have other things to do, but the fact is they go out there and check on their employees. Not everybody's going to be rich. Not everybody's going to be a billionaire. Not everybody's going to own a business, but everybody should have some type of employment. Yes. Whether it's employing yourself or in your own backyard, tilling your own ground or putting 5-gallon buckets around outside of your apartment, or luxury buckets, if that's the case, and just put plants, edible plants in there instead of flowers. There's ways around different things. Many of you can't do nothing because you're so high sedity, you move in the HOA and they don't want you to have nothing like that. Who's behind it? But nevertheless, Burkina Faso is on its way up. Those who have caused the havoc there have been deleted, but yet still without having inflicted casualty. But we thank God that the fact is that these people, they saying to the last man, to the last woman, to the last child, we will fight. And trust me, they're no cowards. He's already put it in them, regardless of whether he's out or not. This leader has already instilled in these people, never back down. Never back down. Because these cowards, they come and they pay their monies to these other people who will go out and fight because they have jealousy and they do not want. These are the same people that have taken over all the Arab countries, and these are the same people that also have taken over from all the way from Israel, from Syria, all the way to Egypt. The same people. Some of them call themselves Muslim, but I don't think that Quran teaches what they do. But nevertheless, we thank God for the bravery of Burkina Faso and the Sahel as a whole. Because many of us, we might as well attribute it. I remember at one time, we know that there was a problem in the place of my employment. Yes. And what had happened was everybody figured we should go up and do something. But apparently they didn't want to. By the simple fact we could talk about it in the back of the warehouse and everything, and everybody, yeah, let's go up and do this. But when it came time to do it, they didn't want to. And then when, I'll put it bluntly, when I went up through the chain of command and did what I was supposed to do, they all rebelled against me. And then next thing you know, they backed off. Cowardice. Cowardice. If you're not willing to die for it, you don't need to have it. I'll put it that way. If you're not willing to go and go the whole route, whether you have to go judicially, politically, or either just plain old war. Or diplomatically, whatever you want to call it, by any means necessary. To put it bluntly, you don't need to have it. You need to be marching, you need to be complaining, because you're not going to do nothing anyway, because you're a coward and you're lazy. Period. These people have been instilled in them that they should do this thing, and this military is right behind them. And so we're gonna pray for him. It brought tears to my eyes to hear about all those people that have gotten deleted in Burkina Faso, and how the big warmongers sit back and they probably laugh, oh, we're gonna get him, we're gonna get him. In order to bring the cowards out and say, oh, we ought to turn to the massa, as Traore calls them. But no, to the last man, to the last woman, to the last child, fight is all I have to say. Fight. Build up. Do what you have to do. Because all the rest of the world that look like you, basically have proven themselves cowards. And with that, we're going to leave that alone. I digress. But either way, we're in the Second Chronicles and chapter 6. 2 Chronicles chapter 6. Yes, and after a while we're going to be into the prophets and different things like that. We're not going to go into the wisdom. We will do the wisdom as our, should I say, devotional. Yes, devotional. We're in chapter 6 of the Second Chronicles, the book of Second Chronicles, chapter 6. We read how Solomon in chapter 5 had builded the temple, and what he did, he dedicated and sacrificed all day and night. The Levitical priest was put to work. It wasn't nothing to give an animal, simply because that animal, God have increased. God had given those animals to the predators. He'd given the animals to mankind. He'd given them for food. The little rabbits he told you not to eat, that's what he gives to the animals for food. The little rats he gives to the animal. But when you destroy all the ecosystem, these animals will multiply, and you have them. New York City, you have them. Chicago, you have them. In different areas of the world, you have these because you destroy what God had made, and you polluted the earth. The fish that should destroy, the things that destroy the different fish that multiply so greatly in the ocean. You can't destroy these things. You only take what you need and leave it alone. That's it. Other than that is greed. Trying to make a buck, and half the things that you take for yourself in these corporations and these big corporates, farming, animal farming things, you kill half of them. Then you have to sit up there, you have so many that you have to give them antibiotics, you have to give them all kind of things in order that they might be serviceable for the consumption of humans. But nevertheless, verse 1, 2 Chronicles chapter 6. Then said Solomon, the I Am had said that he would dwell in the thick darkness. Huh? Didn't the I Am dwell in darkness before he created the earth? But God sees in the darkness as well as in the light. So you got a problem. You need light. God don't need light. The Most High is a spirit. He's a spirit that inhabits all things. And in other words, he's there. If he just thinks it, the whole universe will crumble and go back into darkness. If you can understand those things. I doubt it. Many of you cannot understand. He can centralize his image, but yet he's very decentralized. He's in everything. And you think that you have all the technology in the world. Whatever. But I have built an house for a habitation for thee, and a place for thy dwelling forever. He already knows. And the king turned his face and blessed the whole congregation of Israel, and all the congregation of Israel stood. Let's bless the Sahel. All of you that have known him, bless the Sahel. And you're turning toward, whether you turn toward Mecca or whether you turn toward Jerusalem, bless the Sahel. Start praying and bless the Sahel to give them dominance over their enemies, strong and small. Dominance. That God deliver their enemies into their hands every time, and that they should come and make and put to shame those who have these big nukes and call themselves all of this, but yet they don't even take care of their own people. Their people are living out in the streets and yet make hundreds of thousands of dollars and can't afford an apartment. They give the money unto those they favor because they do not favor their own people. These people elect them in hopes that they would make things better, but yet find themselves to be ashamed. But he turned and blessed the people. We bless the Sahel. We bless them. Coming out of poverty, coming out of just colonization, the colonized mindset. Coming into prosperity, but yet having enemies on every hand. We bless them in the name of our God. Yes. And in verse 3, he turned his face and blessed the whole congregation of Israel, and all the congregation of Israel stood. Stand up, Sahel, stand up. Stand up. When you got a whole nation with you, it's better. When you got a people who favors their country, it's better. Many of us, those that are protesting the Sahel or Burkina Faso or any other country, what do they have? Nothing. Many of them are getting paid to stir up other people. This has been going on for thousands of years. You remember in the book of, should I say, Esther, how this Mordecai, he decided to stir up the people against the Israelites. But God hung him on his own gallows. Put him to shame. Even your revelation tell you they're going to hate the whore. We all know who the whore is, or who they say they don't think it's that way, the ones who wrote it. But it turns out there is a whore. Every man living lavishly off of this one who worships every type of god under the sun. But God said, I will send a fire on her. Could it be a nuke? I guess it might just be a piece of dynamite. Maybe somebody might pass gas. I don't know. But the fact is, God said he will send a fire. It might come straight from God and demolish it. But then look at you. Precious in the sight of the Most High is the death of his anointed. Yes, it is. You might get caught up in it and you living all you can. But God is going to take out that which hinders, that which causes havoc, that which causes division for this time. But we're at the feet of Daniel. We're getting to the feet of Daniel. Powers being shifted. Now you're going to see people, they're already going against the Most High as it is. But they're going to hate this whore. They're doubting his existence. They're doubting everything. They don't even understand God. Even try to even know God. That should be nothing to those who do know him. In verse 4, he said, Blessed be the I Am, God of Israel, who with his hands fulfilled all that which he spake of with his mouth to my father David. And he will. Note what God has said in the prophets. Watch in the earth, as social media, as your local news and all these things would push forward, but with knowing what the Most High had said and knowing how the governments or some deceitful people work. Yes. He said he has blessed the Lord. Blessed the I Am, God of Israel, who hath with his hand fulfilled all which he has spake with his mouth to my father David, saying, Since the day I brought forth my people out of the land of Egypt, I choose no city among all the tribes of Israel to build an house, in that my name might be there. Neither choose I any man to be a ruler over my people Israel. Neither I choose any man to be a ruler over my people Israel. But I have chosen Jerusalem, that my name might be there, and have chosen David over my people Israel, to manage according to the law, commandments, statutes, and ordinances of the Most High. And the same thing, God have chosen this man to manage a people that were praying. Apparently, the Sahel, people in the Sahel or AES were praying. And God had brought forth men with a heart that would be toward the people with them. But now, how much do you want this? How much do you want to keep this? I see that the Most High is saying, once he had proven these people, eventually these enemies are going to be subdued, either by indirect or direct means. They're going to be gone, poof, out no more. Even Psalms chapter 7 declared, he looked for the wicked and he couldn't find them. He spread himself like a green bay tree. Those of you in the Sahara, read the 37th chapter of Psalms in its entirety. He said that my name might be there, and have chosen David to be over my people. He said not to rule. Who rules over the people of the Most High? Is it not even the law, statutes, commandments, and ordinances? That's what rules. This man is to be over. In other words, to, like someone would remind you, this is what God says. But do they do it? No. Now it was in the heart of David my father to build an house for the name of the I Am, God of Israel. But the I Am said to David my father, for as much as it was in thine heart to build an house for my name, thou didst dwell in it that was in thy heart. Thou didst dwell in it that was in thine heart. In other words, what he did, he gathered the things that he could, since he could not build it. Notwithstanding, thou shalt not build the house, but thy son which shall come forth out of thy loins, he shall build the house for my name. My name, not my presence. Now, you look in the Sahel again, I'm comparing these things. These men were put over, not that they should be rich or drive in Toyota Land Cruisers or land, whatever they call them things. I don't deal with that stuff. But either way, they were put over. Burkina Faso, its leader, put over. Niger, Mali, its leaders put over the people. But what actually governs the people? The Constitution. If the Constitution is after the ways of the Most High, then it is sound, it is good judgment, and God will bless those people even more. Yes. The West is not God. Let's put it this way. The West is not God, neither the East, South, or whatever direction you want to go. They're not God. They do not hold, they are hostile against the things of the Most High. And some of them will even take on the name, but you will know a person and a people after their doing. He said, he stood therefore before the altar. Let's go back a little bit. Verse 10, and the I Am therefore hath performed his word. He hath spoken, for I am risen up in room of David my father, and I am set on the throne of Israel, as the I Am had promised, and have built the house for the name of the I Am, God of Israel. In it I have put the ark, wherein is the covenant of the I Am that he made with the children of Israel. And he stood before the altar of the I Am in the presence of all the congregation of Israel, and spread forth his hands. He just spread forth his hands. And he stood before the altar of the I Am in presence of all the congregation of Israel, spread forth his hand. 13, for Solomon had made a brazen scaffold of 5 cubits long, and 5 cubits broad, and 3 cubits high, and he set it in the midst of the court, so the people could see him. You know, where he built a stage, about a 20 foot tall, 10 foot tall, somewhere in there, stage, and kneeled down upon his knees before all the congregation of Israel, and spread forth his hand toward heaven. In other words, he didn't turn away his back toward, just like these priests and preachers do, turn around to their idol cross and their idol Jesus and their idol all this Yahushai. No, he didn't do that. He turned toward the people. This is who God wants. He wants people. He wants the lowly person. He wants the person that would cause themselves to be risen up, to say, I am somebody. I will prosper in this day because I will use my hands, my mind. Yes, my mind will direct my hands, and as God give me the ingenuity of my mind, I will do what is in me to do and prosper. And that is a daily thing. Yes. So for Solomon had made a brazen scaffold. Okay, now we're going to go ahead. He turned toward the people. In other words, this is for you. this is for you. You have put forth all this effort to get this temple built, giving all that you could, even to the last dime. This is for you, that God may bless you according to his rule. Not David's rule. David was just an overseer. That's all it was. He was just a manager. Or Solomon, he's supposedly just to be a manager. That's it. And said, "Oh, I am God of Israel. There is no God like thee in heaven nor earth, which keepeth covenant." We also read this in the book of 1 Kings. "Mercy unto thy servants that walk before thee with all their hearts," as he praying over the people of Israel. "And thou which hast kept with thy servant David my father that which thou hast promised him, spake with thy mouth and hast fulfilled it with thine hands, as it is this day. Now therefore, O Yahweh, God of Israel, keep with thy servant David my father, which thou hast promised him, saying, There shall not fail thee a man in my sight to sit upon the throne of Israel, yet that thy children take heed to their way to walk in my law, as thou hast walked before me." All right. And then, "O Yahuwah, God of Israel, let thy word be verified in which thou hast spoken unto thy servant David. But will Tata and Zambi in every deed dwell with men on earth? Behold, heaven and the heaven of heavens cannot contain thee. How much more less this house which I have built? How much with that church or that mosque you have built? It cannot contain the Most High. No way. That place is for you, that you might have a place to come and congregate, that you might worship and that you might sacrifice unto the Most High. It don't have to be on every block. God wants your individual attention, and it will come together collectively on 3 days. Passover, Feast of Tabernacles, Feast of Unleavened Bread. Yes. He says, "Have respect therefore to the prayer of thy servant to do his supplication, O I am my God, and hearken unto the cry that the prayer which thy servant prayed before thee. That thine eyes may be open upon this house day and night, and upon the place whereof thou hast said that would put thy name here, and hearken unto the prayer which thy servant prayed toward this place." Same thing, Sahel, Burkina Faso, Mali, Niger. Pray day and night. Pray. Pray. Some of you got these places where you can just take turns praying 24/7 until God delivers your enemy into your hand and subdues those who have caused them to come upon you, either directly or indirectly, that you might have peace on all corners of your borders. Yes. Because to you have been delivered bravery and not cowardice, as with the rest of those who look like you. Cowardice. Cowardice not to get rid of those who are in charge that only bow to another God. Cowardice are those who would only bow to money without even regard for the people and their health and welfare, even their own lives. Cowardice all throughout the world. These are the cowards that go and fight. No, they're not as far as that is concerned, but to defend yourself is what I'm saying. And to go after them. You pray God deliver your enemies into your hands, and it will happen every time, even in the weakest of you. And of the people, they shall make toward this place here from thy dwelling place, even from heaven, when thou hearest, forgive. If a man sin against his neighbor, and an oath be laid upon him to make him swear, and the oath came before thy altar in this house, then hear thou from heaven and do, and judge thy servant by requiting the wicked, by recompensing his way upon his own heads, and by justifying the righteous, by giving him room according to his righteousness. And if thy people Israel be put to the worst before the enemy, because they have sinned against thee, and shall return and confess thy name, and pray and make supplication before thee in the house, then hear thou from the heavens, and forgive the sin of thy people Israel, and bring them again unto the land which thou gavest them for their fathers. In other words, he's saying, you are scattered, Israel. You're scattered all over the earth. If you would turn and pray towards Jerusalem, if you would turn and pray and ask God to forgive you, you don't need this sacrifice. You don't need your camps. You don't need this. When each individual decided he wants to be what God would have them to be, then and pray and call on the name of the Most High, practicing those things which God have commanded him in the best of your capacity during your captivity, he's going to turn and hear. He's going to hear. Why is the Spirit using the heathen to keep you away from God? Why is he having confusion among you? Among who is God and how do we worship him? Go to the law. It's going to tell you everything. The first commandment even tells you, you have no man in front of you that you should worship. Not Jesus, not Yahushua, not Yahusha. That is in violation of the whole commandment. When you bow before that name, you have pushed God out of the way. God has no sons. God is the creator. He created once, and after that he said, do it after your kind. And that's what we do. We procreate after our kind. From the animal to the human. Yes, to the fish, to the fowl. After our kind. Make it make sense. He said, hear thou from the heavens, forgive the sin of thy people, and bring them again to the land thou gavest them with their fathers. He's saying there's a way out of captivity. There's a way that God will speed up the process for you even getting back to that land which he given to your fathers. And that land which you long for those of you that are strangers, through by way of Jacob, that you can even be partakers of his blessing. He said in verse 26, when the heaven is shut up and there is no rain because they have sinned against thee, if they pray toward this place and confess thy name and turn from their sin when thou dost afflict them, then hear thou from heaven and forgive the sins of thy servants of thy people when thou hast taught them the good way, wherein they should walk, and send rain upon thy land which thou hast given unto thy people for an inheritance. If there be dearth in the land, if there be pestilence, if there be blasting or mildew, locusts or caterpillars, if their enemies besiege them in the cities of their land, whatsoever sore, whatsoever sickness there be, then what prayer or what supplication soever be made of any man of all thy people Israel, when everyone shall know his own sore, his own grief, and shall spread forth his hands in this house. Toward that house, he's saying too. Spread your hands. This is all he's saying. Pray like this. Spread. Call out to God. Yes. Spread. 30. Then hear thou from heaven. He's saying, oh, most holy. Sanini Nanini. Hear from heaven, I am that I am. Hear from heaven and forgive. He didn't say you had to do a sacrifice right there. A sacrifice is your thanksgiving. A sacrifice is showing God, even reiterating to you that he has accepted your forgiveness by accepting your sacrifice. He has forgiven you. This is what this means. But all it is a heart. Uncircumcised heart. Yes. He ain't say get baptized and be in somebody else's name. There ain't no such thing. There ain't no John the Baptist been around baptizing folks for what? In some water? All he's giving you is circumcision. And he says, remove the evil that you have toward your neighbor and the idolatry of your heart and worship him. That's what he's saying. Now, And he's showing that we have power to do that ourselves. He says from heaven, and forgive unto every man according to all his ways, whose heart thou knowest. And Solomon understood that your heart God knowest. Yeah, you was caught up. You did something was wrong other than murder or raping. I'll put it that way. Those are unforgivable in any instance. But the fact is, you got caught up. Adultery. And God forgives you and says, go and sin no more. Not your Esas or your Yahushua. Oh, gosh. But either way. For thou only knowest the hearts of the children of men. He sees deep. That they may fear thee to walk in the way so long as they live in the land which thou givest unto their father. Moreover, concerning the stranger which is not of thy people, Israel, but is come from a far country for thy great name's sake, thy mighty hand and thy stretched out arm, that they come and pray in this house, or toward that house. Not Mecca, toward the house. You've gotten all these scriptures from where? Here. Islam, or dear Muslim. This is where the scriptures come from. I don't know how they set up this Quran or whatever. I've read it 3 or 4 times, and I see it as it is. Yes. And thy mighty hand and thy stretched out arm, and they come and pray in this house. Then hear thou from the heavens, hear from the dwelling place, and do according to all that the stranger calleth for thee, that all people of the earth may know thy name and fear thee, as doth thy people Israel, and may know that this house which I have built is called by thy name. In other words, your deliverance that God has wrought in your life, your deliverance that God has brought you out from. You don't know how it happened, but God works through circumstances. You don't know how it occurs. You can't attribute it to yourself. But God is not going to reveal himself. No, he's not. You can see that throughout the whole Bible. God didn't reveal it, but they had to acknowledge God in all thy ways. Now, and people may know thy name and fear thee. When they see how God delivered you, how God will deliver Burkina Faso and the AES from these enemies who lie and cheat and steal and greedy and hate the people. They don't care even about your own babies. But God will deliver you. Pray. Those praying women and those praying men, pray. Call on God and watch him subdue your enemies. The big ones, the ones with the nukes and all these other big major armies and high advanced technological armament. Directly or indirectly, he will subdue them before your eyes. Yes, he will. Pray. Now, while you're praying, fight. Deliver my enemies into my hands. Cause my hands to know what to do when I come in contact with them. Cause my eyes to see where he is and where he's located. Yes, pray. And hear from the heavens and from the dwelling place, and do according to all that the stranger calleth thee, even the strangers that love Israel, he's saying. That all people of the earth may know my name and fear thee, as though people of Israel. Now in 34, if thy people go out to war against their enemy by the way that thou shalt send them, ask for God's blessing when you go out to subdue your enemies. And pray, and they pray unto thee toward this city which thou hast chosen, and the house which I have built for thy name. Then hear thou from the heavens their prayer and their supplication, and maintain their cause. If they sin against thee, if there is no man which sinneth not, for there is no man which sinneth not, and thou be angry with them, and deliver them over before their enemies, they carry them away captives into the land afar off or near. Yet if they rethink themselves in the land where they are carried captive, and turn and pray unto thee in the land of their captivity, saying, we have sinned, we have done amiss, we have done wickedly. This has happened. The Zerubbabel, the captivity when Babylon, the captivity of the Persian Empire, and after the Grecian, I don't know what happened. It's all the way to America. Yes, there were slaves taken from Africa. Yes, some of you are aboriginal to the land of what is called America. That is true. Now, if they return with thee to all their heart, with all thy soul, in the land of their captivity. Oh, if they would turn with all their heart and with all thy soul in the land of their captivity. This is where you are, Israel. The rest, yes, you are whatever you want to call yourself, Indians, Aboriginal. We give you that. But there were a lot of people taken from Africa, and these people were sold because of who they were. Yes. Now, but yet God he's put this against you to make you forget, and then if he even give you a glimmer of inkling to return back unto him, take it and run with it and don't let it go. He says, and toward the city which thou hast chosen, toward the house which I have built for thy name, then hear thou from the heavens, even from thy dwelling place, their prayer and their supplication, and remain their cause, and forgive thy people which have sinned against thee. Now, my God, let I beseech thee, thine eyes be open, and let thine ears be attent unto thy prayer that is made in this place. Now therefore arise, O I am, into the resting place, thou and the ark of thy strength, and let the priests, O Yahweh, be clothed with salvation, and let thy saints, now this is a Greek thing here, let thy anointed rejoice in goodness, thy chosen rejoice in goodness. O I am, God, return not away thy face from thy anointed. See, he's saying it again. It's anointed. See, this is a wordplay. Remember the mercies of David, thy servant. When he had the mercies of David, thy servant, what did David do? God had mercy on him when he slept with Uriah's wife out of his lust for her and his should I say, adulterous heart. And he coveted a man who really just had one wife, nothing else, but he loved his king. He loved his God, which was God. That was one, and God had mercy upon him, even allowed him to marry the wife that he took him from that man. Then David did it again. What did David do? I'll let you figure that out. You got to read that again. Now, he said, remember the mercies of David. God had much mercy on David. David numbered Israel. When the Satans had stood up against David, that was another, and God had mercy on David then. The mercies, in other words, God had mercy. Above the mercy seat is where God is, where the cherubims hide his face. Because he don't want to see you. He don't want to see me. But his mercy endureth forever. In that we rejoice, that his mercy endureth forever, that we might have that chance to do again his commandments, statutes, ordinances, and laws, and be forever with him in that day that he comes. And not only that, to inherit that our children, if not us, even inherit the land that was purposed for us, even back to the time of Jacob, when he was delivered out of Egypt. And with that, we're going to say, if we keep these things and put God first through his commandments, statutes, and ordinances, not no Isis, we will have peace.
Walk with me.